All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order, the Finance Committee, Thursday, May 1st, 2025, and start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
The Pledge of Allegiance to
The flag of the United States
States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
That's a good idea.
Okay. All right, Gary, let's,
Yes.
first thing on schedule is the final warrant, Article Schedule A.
Before we get
Yeah.
started, can I bring one thing?
Sure.
Gary? I talked with Kerry the other day, and she wanted me to let people know that the prospective information that she put up by Claude was, she believes, quite a bit off, because she looked at Gary's actuals, and based on what Gary produced, it looks like people are doing a pretty good job in going after grants. She went through another AI that was a little bit higher than Gary's actuals, and she thought that maybe it was somewhere between Claude, which is $3 million, that's a lot of money. I have a feeling Claude might have looked at the whole nation and pulled some information that we wouldn't be eligible for. But based on that, she does not think she would recommend hiring somebody. She thinks that going the way of a consultant would probably be less risk for the town and for the person. So I said I would bring that up because she was
You
out
could always
tonight.
do contract to hire too, for that matter.
Okay, well, thanks for updating us on that.
So,
Okay.
Schedule A.
Schedule A.
All right, I think you can make that bigger there, Mrs. Carrera.
Eye test.
Oh, so I can throw my copy away now. Don't need that anymore.
So, the committee has seen this in essence when I presented the
Yeah.
Munis report. This is just in a different format. This is every department currently that we have. As you know, I have settled two of the unions, and two of the unions are not settled, but I've built in a factor into both the police department and the DPW across the board. We have to re-vote on three of the warrant articles tonight because I did have to adjust those because of the other two unions. So if in fact, it gives us a little more time to settle with those last two unions, if I can get it done by June 30th, there won't be an article in the fall for that. So that's where we are. So we can look at this first, and then I can bring up the warrant.
Okay.
Okay,
So we,
well, part of me wants to, look at what some of the differences that weren't settled last time we looked at it. But the town administrator salary is $225?
Yeah, I was curious about that.
yes,
myself.
that's what was negotiated.
That's what, and it was 200?
It was, yes, that was the last,
So that's what's contracted
So-
now for?
So let me get this straight. Somebody had a lot of experience, left at 200,000, and we gave a contract for 225,000 for somebody who worked as town administrator for a town about less than 30%, probably 25% of the size of Dartmouth, and we gave him 10% more?
I wasn't involved in the negotiation.
I know you weren't,
Yeah,
but that's what that's saying,
That's,
right?
that's what we're budgeting. so.
Okay. All right, would you like to say
I want to
something?
work for the town, that's what I want.
I think I'm gonna unretire here, because,
Yeah, I don't want to work.
Go ahead. All right,
And I
all
don't
right.
know if this is public knowledge yet or not. So 225 is the first year of the contract. Do you know the terms of year 2 and 3?
I haven't read the rest of the contract, I've just,
Just curious
Give
if
the
there's a,
number.
big
I'm not
fat
sure
raise
what.
for
what
year
the-
2 and 3.
I'm not sure what was negotiated as far as like.
Okay, so it's not
The
out,
additional
it's
amounts.
not public yet at this point.
Well, it's signed, so. It's
All right.
It's a public contract.
So it will be public.
Does anybody?
I wouldn't budget that until, obviously, the next,
Okay.
No, but it's a
fiscal year.
good-to-know situation.
I would think it's better than good to know. I think
Yeah.
it's like we should know.
So do I.
Moderate.
I think we have a right to know as a finance committee what the terms are going
I mean,
forward.
if the committee wants a copy of the contract, we can get a copy of the
Well,
contract.
I mean, it's in the charter that we can ask questions about any expenditure from any town official. So I would like to know.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay,
God.
this may ultimately vote at the end. All right, but anybody else have any else?
Well, actually,
Okay.
these, next line, if you will, professional other salaries, actual, 70,000, and then it jumped up to 212. Is that a typo, Gary, or something?
Which line item? We're in.
I'm under select board / town administrator, third item, professional / other salaries.
So- Well, no, so what we did was we combined a couple positions there, and we also brought in, if you remember the scanning, we had scanners, people that were scanning items. So we moved some of that around so that we could have a full-time person in the office now. And not have, they would have two part-timers, so one person would come in the morning, one person would come in the afternoon. So what they did was they combined positions.
So they're still scanning?
They're scanning, it was a grant program at one time, if you remember when they first started
Yeah,
scanning.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're still continuing to scan.
Can I-
Go,
can I-
Brian.
Can I go back just a second? This column, it says FinCom recommendation.
Yeah, it's blank right now.
It's blank, but
And
we
so-
get to say what on that column?
So, right here is, so the second column is the department request, and, the
Budget.
fourth column is the budget request, is the department request. The next one is the budget recommendation, so we're putting that in there. The finance committee's recommendation can be changed
Okay.
however you feel.
We haven't normally
So,
done that.
so,
No, we haven't.
so we're expected to potentially have the ability to put a number in there, is that what? is that
You have
what-
the ability to recommend a different,
It's a recommendation, yeah.
recommend a different amount.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe I will make it to the select board meeting this Monday. So, Gary, you also, didn't you add a communications director?
The communications director was already in the FY, when
23?
did she start? I think she started in FY '23 or '24.
When I showed the actuals, I think everybody was surprised at how much
General government.
general government's gone up. As a matter of fact, I think I heard a gasp from the school people. That's, when you have a big difference in a number, budget versus actual, or actual versus past actual, you usually do a thing called a drill down, where you come up and say, okay, this is what caused that difference. But, to say in fiscal 2023, you had 70,000, and, last year 235 and now 264, that's.
Remember, we didn't have an assistant. We hired an assistant town administrator. So that also,
When did that start?
I believe it was fiscal '24, 20.
Okay,
So that's
Yeah.
projected.
okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right,
All right, so I
okay.
can understand that now, okay.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Good question, Bill.
That's projected.
Thanks.
I mean, would you want to go down the list, or, I mean, this is 13 pages of, or do we want to stop on each single one? I mean, most of the
let's-
increases you're going to see in the budget, generally speaking, are because of contractual increases and step increases, like I had brought to the committee when we talked initially on the munis report. Nothing's really changed, except that we've added.
Well, we got 13 pages, and I think if somebody sees something that they want to question, we'll
Well,
do
you
it. Because we've been through this before, but we don't know, some of these numbers change, right?
Well, for instance, we now have a town administrator. We've added the 3% across the board, really, on all the unions
Do we, if I may,
for the bridge.
Okay.
do we need, for instance, what Brian was bringing up, the FY 2026 recommendation, does it have to be a numerical value? Could we just say either okayed or not okayed, or whatever the case might be?
Well,
Because, to me, if I was at town meeting, I saw a bunch of zeros there, then I'd be thinking, well, what the heck's the finance committee?
No.
No, they're gonna-
No,
yeah.
what happens is we're leaving this blank for finance committee recommendation. So I think in the past, even, I think Terry had said that the whole form was filled out already. So I think even last year, we approached it as, the last column is the finance committee's recommendation. Usually, the finance committee recommendation is the same as the
Agrees with this.
request.
Yeah, agrees with
So,
Concern that I
but,
had last year was that Sean McInnes put in under Finance Committee Recommendation 3.1, and we did not, and under School Committee, and we did not, and neither did the School Committee. We had a different number, so we should say what we think is
Yeah, yeah.
appropriate, and then if they don't agree, they're
I
in
would like to go
charge.
back to the town administrator salary. I mean, if we were to put a number in there, we don't really have any rationale for that number. And so I'm thinking, I don't even see a rationale for why the select board put that number in there.
For why this what?
So why they gave, I don't see a rationale for why they gave their 20, whatever it was, over the previous
So
person.
these,
So just to finish, is I guess we could just throw any number in there and not have a rationale for it either.
yeah, they can because that's
You know, I
their,
think,
that's their job.
not having been involved with the negotiation of it, I'm sure that, you know, salary surveys were presented. And I'm only suggesting that that's what happened. Salary survey was presented, and then the board made its decision based on a salary survey.
Well,
And that's,
if we want to make our recommendation, I think we can go back and make our recommendation on there. Here's the thing, and I was just a town meeting member back in the day when Joe Michaud was on the select board. And one of the things he brought up was, there were two things. One was that Dartmouth, when Dartmouth hires people, they were hiring people with less experience for more money. Okay, and after that, that stopped. And the second thing that happened was they were giving out life contracts to people, and that stopped. Okay? Now, I'm not saying there's any I'm hoping there's no life.
mainly they're 3-year contracts.
Yeah, no,
No, they're gone now.
Yeah, they're not gone completely.
You're
But-
saying just raising the subject had an impact on,
Yeah, no, they stopped. So now, okay, we're back to hiring people for a lot more than the person that had a lot of experience that left, you know? So why don't we, at the end, we have a right to put our own budget in. We'll go back and do our own budget.
You can go, how,
but any number we want.
I mean, that's why the last column is
Yeah,
blank, too.
but let's go on the pages and then we'll decide what we
Yeah.
want to change.
I just want to say
Good.
one thing. When the last superintendent was hired for the school district, people on the finance committee were really mad that they didn't get consulted on the salary. It's not our role. As much as it is our role to ask a question, to say, what are the standards by which these people are hired? How did you come up with this? But it's not our role to say, we only think they should make this amount.
Well-
I don't think it's our
And
role anyway.
I'm with you on that, because, and then, with that being said, Terry, now, I don't think we really need anything in this last column, because we don't have any right to negotiate. We could say, yeah, we think it should be that, but where's our rationale for saying a salary's worth 200, 225?
Right.
Or personnel services are only worth $1,500?
Well, I
Where's
think
our
that's
rationale?
that's what I was getting at with the negotiation piece of any salary contract.
Mm-hmm.
It's that the board negotiates, the select board negotiates the salary, so it's hard to determine, it's hard for this committee to determine whether or not how that plays out. That's,
Right.
Okay.
But
go
did
ahead,
you
go
say
ahead.
that we could have a copy of the contract? Did somebody ask you for that?
well, like, you can get a copy of my every contract is
Right.
public record.
But if you asked for it? Okay, because I think that would be helpful. The other thing that I think would be helpful, and I did this when I first joined the Finance Committee, was to ask for the list of department heads and their salaries, because that gave me an idea of kind of where they were going in their decision-making.
All right, well, let's give Janine a shot.
And then I want to just make one final comment.
So we're going to flash back to, I believe it was 2020, and Terry was here and Bob was here. And I specifically, as the only Finance Committee member, voted down the budget because of the raise that was given to our town administrator at the time.
Yep.
And that's fine, I was the one person that did not recommend. But, going further, myself and several others, as a town meeting member, put forth an amendment, and there were other amendments that followed mine, to change the salary increase from the crazy number of 15.5 to something more reasonable, like, I think it was 3.5, because that was more appropriate with what the other managers were getting. So that is within our realm, if you're a town meeting member.
Okay.
I would like to know, besides the contract, I would like to know the rationale for why he was given that salary over somebody who had over somebody who had a lot more experience. I would like to know what the criteria were.
Yeah. All right, can I just say something? When it comes to the superintendent of schools, you're absolutely right. We have nothing because we just approved the whole budget. It's the school committee that has the right. But we have a right on every single line item in here, see that? To vote yes or no.
Yes, sir.
And I'm thinking, I'm not sure if I'll make a motion or anything, but I'm thinking of changing that to 200,000 in our recommendation. And we don't have to, on town meeting, you have to, if you take something away, you gotta put it someplace else. We don't have to do that. We can.
That's
we can
only
do-
if you're increasing the budget.
That-
If you're gonna
okay.
increase a line
Right.
item,
So.
you've gotta find another line item to,
So, 'cause I think it's outrageous that they're, that based on the experience and the past dollars, I mean, 2023, it was 190, you know? And what does that say to, like, to the union people? you
Well,
know?
I think, I disagree on some level, because if they have a rationale for it, then I would like to see it.
Yeah.
How can you tell unless they have a rationale? If
Yeah, I
they
mean,
don't have a
Well,
rationale,
generally speaking, I will say that, you know, as the committee knows, there's a lot of these positions that are hard to fill. And now, put aside the salary, for instance, for a minute. We go a long time without trying to fill these positions, so it's a difficult process to go through. So I'm sure that there were salary surveys presented, as I mentioned, to the board during the contract negotiations. And the board felt that at that level, that was and like, I don't know what the dynamics of that were, but I think that maybe is what the rationale
I
was.
think, you know, salary surveys are just one part of it. The other part is the experience that somebody brings to a job. That's a large factor. And all town administrator jobs are not equal. Some are easier, and some are harder. So that's why I say I would like to see what the rationale was for giving him that extra money compared to somebody who who had more experience before he left.
Well, they interviewed, they voted to offer a contract, and then within an hour, they had the contract signed. So I don't think they did a lot of rationale or you know, in that time period.
Well, if that was their rationale, then we can put any number we want in there.
Well,
'cause we don't have to have
I'm
one in there.
proposing.
That's what I'm saying, Brian, in a position like that, they can't. There's no contract, there's no guidelines, it's strictly a decision because it's an executive position, and because
Oh,
it
there is a
isn't-
contract, Terry.
Say it again,
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
town administrator's
Yeah, there's a contract, yeah.
Yeah, they can put anything, it's not like they have to follow certain guidelines.
They can put in whatever they want, but we can criticize is not the word, critique their lack of judgment or their good judgment in doing these things as part of our questioning of expenditures.
Well, this is gonna pop out at town meeting.
Yeah.
There's no question. So I'm gonna make a motion that we make that line $200,000.
I don't have any problem with that, but I would like to see, before I did that, I would like to see what their rationale was. Maybe they have a good reason.
Well, we don't have time at this point.
Yeah,
in time. We're
I mean,
done.
you have to vote on this tonight, because Monday is the,
And you might get that word, you know, in a conversation, but I would highly doubt that there's any kind of rationale that was
Well,
made
then I
there.
highly have a real problem with it.
Well, I need somebody to second it
That's
before we're
why.
gonna
I'll
discuss.
second
Okay, so Brian second,
Okay,
okay? Discussion.
all right. I'm gonna go back to what I said before. If you have or it could be more than one line, but say we have that $200,000 on that line, we're under the recommendation, and the rest of these are zero quantity, $0. Anybody would tear that apart. So we're just singling out the recommendation lines.
No, I understand what you're saying. I'm curious why you think that that will make it higher.
Why I would think it'd make a difference, because ostensibly, at town meeting, if that is showed to be zeros on,
No, no,
No, it's not
no.
zero. No.
No, no.
That last column,
that's why you're losing me, Gary.
yeah, the last column is equal to in theory, right now, to the 26 budget recommendation.
Yeah.
The finance committee has the ability to change anything in,
Okay, so when the final work product, are you telling me that zero will be replaced
by the number
15?
that's in the budget
And
recommendation,
that's
yes.
where you will lose me, because I
You're
didn't
looking
catch
at,
that
you're looking at
before.
board salaries, and that's.
What I'm looking at, Terry, is the last column on the right, it says,
yeah.
all right, that says 0.00,
Yeah,
okay?
that's the board go over to the left.
Yeah,
Board salaries, nobody on the select board gets paid. Underneath that is the town
yeah,
administrator.
what's, how about all the rest of these that
Oh,
have?
okay, let me try to explain a little bit
Yeah.
and clearer.
I'm talking about all the rest of them, Terry.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the one that says, under town meeting, professional services, and we have 1,500, and on the very next line, it has 0.00. Now, Gary's saying to me, well, when we get to town meeting, you won't have that zero.
No.
You will have the
It'll- correct.
recommendation, which would be equal to the 2026 budget recommendation.
Correct.
Right.
All right,
So if
that's where you were losing me before.
Yep.
Because otherwise, we should just, whatever.
So if we recommended a town administrator salary of 200,000, the total budget would be reduced by 25,000.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, all right, that's all.
So one argument that I can see to support that is that this is somebody who's unproven. The select board had talked at previous meetings about one-year contract. They didn't do that. They did a 3-year contract. I think if that's what was anticipated to be paid for whoever comes in, that's reasonable.
What? Compared to what we
You're
were
saying that
paying?
that's what
The
they already
200
had as a
No, the
budget.
200, I'm
Oh, the
saying.
200.
I agree with
Oh, I
what
see.
Bob's saying, that
I-
that
You know,
makes sense.
I could make a case based on experience back to 189.
Yeah,
Seriously.
yep.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, why fool around with 200?
So
Then your reaction
My-
would
my-
be attack, Brian.
my concern is that if we leave it at 225, town meeting's gonna say, well, why didn't finance
Yeah,
question it?
I get it.
That's my whole thing. And, so, are we ready to vote, or?
What are we gonna give them?
Sorry, what are we voting
What are
on?
we voting on, Bob?
I made a
Refresh my
motion
memory.
to change
Oh,
the
to change.
town administrator from 225 to 200. And
I would
Brian
suggest-
I'd like
seconded.
to, well, I'd like to
Brian-
take mine back and make a resolution to put it at 190.
I would suggest keeping it at the 200, 196, because that's what was the FY 2025.
Right.
To say that again? Yeah.
Just
So
keeping it the
same-
same.
196.
Under the FY 2025, the budget revised, Bob?
All right. For fiscal year
200, 196.
225.
Yes, that's what
Okay,
Terry
Okay,
said.
all right.
Makes sense.
All right, so he amended it 200, 190s, 190, 190,
200,000.
200,
So I
196.
second Terry's amendment.
Okay, so, all right, second, all right, so let's vote on the amendment. All in favor? We're only voting on going from 200 to 200,
Is it
196.
190?
Okay, all right, all in favor of going from 200 to 196?
Just
Say
one
yes.
one last thing before you vote. You want to also keep in mind that this is a contract, a signed contract.
That's,
So
that's okay, but then.
The recommendation-
They can go find the money
the
someplace else.
recommendation is to be less, but it is a signed contract.
But town meeting can,
We're just
Vote it
espousing really our sentiment here.
I think
That's all
he's
we're
making a
doing.
good point, but you make a point that somebody at town meeting is going to bring
Town
this up.
meeting
and I
can vote
think
this down.
what we have to do is be prepared, whether it's you or somebody else, to explain why we
Yeah.
recommend, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
All right.
Okay.
The
okay,
town
so-
meeting
all
can
right,
then torpedo it, right?
they can make 7 other amendments.
Yeah,
Well,
Right.
no,
Well,
what
the advantage-
Gary is
the
saying,
advantage
it's a
we
signed
have-
contract, so it has to be honored.
yeah, it does have to be honored, but let them go find the money someplace else, and then let them justify the town meeting.
Why does it have to be honored?
Because it's a
Signed
signed
It's a
contract.
signed legal contract.
But,
I thought you worked in corporate
but I just want to vote on the 200 to
I
200.
would take it to court myself.
All right, I just want to vote on the 200 to 200, 196. All in favor of changing that number, even though you might not vote for it? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I hear none. Okay. So on the floor is 291,
No.
changing it from 225 to 200, 196. We ready to vote on that? Okay. All in favor, you want me to do a roll call?
Yeah, I think that's,
Okay. Bill?
In favor?
Bob, yes. Janine?
Yes.
yes.
Brian, yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right, it's
The only suggestion is if you're,
6-0.
so we're going to change this for Monday night's meeting, so whoever the representative is for Monday night's meeting may want
That's how
to
it's
speak
explained,
on
yep.
that.
Yep. Yep. I'm gonna find somebody to take my grandkid.
Do what?
Oh, I thought you said you
I'm coming.
got to your grandchildren.
Okay.
Bring your pistol.
Terry will fight it.
Bring your pistol.
Yeah, I mean, one of the advantages we have is in town meeting, if you change things, you gotta kind of put it someplace else. But we can just recommend, say we agree on everything else, at the bottom line, our budget might be $25,000 less than the thing, but at least we've said something. And yes, we don't have all the information that they have, but I think,
Another reason not to vote for it.
Well, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, they may have a good reason, but it's,
We don't know what it is.
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
So we don't have to prove ours either.
Okay, so
Separate,
everything else,
yeah.
we good on everything else down there?
Well, let's see.
The reserve fund's gonna be 510, which is normal. And,
Gary, clerical salaries went from 73 to 133. Do you know?
Where are we?
Say it again?
Which one? Which one do you want?
Oh, I'm sorry, under town administrator.
Okay, yeah.
Clerical salaries went up by almost
Yeah,
twice.
it's like they added somebody.
Well, that's what I just
Oh,
talked
they added
about.
personnel.
Oh, did
Yes.
I missed
Yeah.
something? Oh, okay, okay.
All right, so that explains
Town
why.
accountant,
yeah, that's fine.
assessors, this is all,
All right, assessors, 229, Okay, let me just, yeah, it might be easy just to look over here.
Yeah, just,
I keep on looking up there and I'm saying, okay.
yeah, you're right.
All right, anything on page 2?
So, Gary, you had said you settled one of the unions. Is that the one that,
two of the unions.
well, what would be reflected in here? Would it be the professional salaries that went up 3% that you, or,
All of the professional salaries and all of the clerical.
okay, went up 3%? Okay.
And that's the bridge, the one-year bridge.
So the assessors went down because they're not gonna need the appraisal services next year?
Let's take a look.
Was that contracted out or wasn't?
The line item. Clerical went up because we had made it a full-time. Administrative assessor. That is correct. Because it's a Vision does the appraisal service. If you remember, they went out and
Yeah,
did
They,
the appraisals. That's not
outsourced
every year.
it.
They won't need it
Right.
next year? Okay.
yeah. Anything else on page 2?
Hang on. No.
Oh, wait, that's not on
Professional salaries under assessors. Administrator of assessing,
Yes.
71 to 114.
Well,
Because-
it's because we don't have we don't have a full-time assessor, so the person that's in the office is, the actual, we're not billing as much. So the budget reflects the steel workers' schedule.
Yeah, we finally have somebody,
They just
right? When we
hired,
have-
you
when we
just
have
hired an
somebody.
assessor, didn't you?
No, we're in the process of hiring an assessor.
Process, but that's
Yeah.
what you're figuring most of the
Yes.
salary will be?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, within a range, it's
Well,
within
yes
a
and
range.
no, I mean,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
put a number out there, it's in a
Right,
range.
it's in a range.
Just a question on legal counsel services. Are these, there's, on some of the data you gave me, there's general counsel, general government, or what was it?
So there's general counsel, problem properties, what we call it, like
Okay.
Zombie,
the
Oh, zombie
property
properties.
areas.
And then,
Yeah. Labor council,
and how about things like labor contracts and things like, is that,
that's through labor council.
okay, but that's not shown on
That's through the
legal counsel services?
It's through legal. Everything falls, in that category would be legal counsel services.
So that,
would be
all
also
the
legal.
legal expenses of the town are in that line?
Labor, any general legal, and problem properties is a separate council.
And schools are in the school budget, I guess?
Yes, they have a legal,
They have their own counsel.
yep.
Okay.
Okay, what was the reasoning for, FY 2025, under legal counsel services, 370,000, and then it jumped up to 445,000? What was the reasoning for that?
Well, we checked the trend on the number of cases that he's been working on.
Yeah.
It ticked up, and I believe also there was a rate increase on his billing. So we had to factor all that in,
This is Anthony?
yes.
okay, page 3.
Have we ever done any consideration to having an in-house employee?
We had that at one time, I believe, but that was many years ago, many years ago. They had like a corporate counsel that would
Yeah, they had a,
sit here in the office.
yeah, Tom, I remember that guy.
It was
Yeah, it's
well
a long
before
time,
my
a
time.
long time ago.
Yeah, and so, there's, I guess, positive and negatives of that.
Yeah, I just like, I know we
You have
can't
to
do
pay
anything.
benefits
I
and-
can't do anything now, but I mean, it's like, I projected the legal counsel fees, general counsel, there, in 4 or 5 years, they'd be up to about $800,000. I mean,
Well,
we should be looking at going, not now. I'll be quiet.
Anything on page 3?
no,
Nothing exciting there? Anything else?
this looks pretty good too, on the next page.
Page 4.
That doesn't look bad. Page 5,
Obviously, the schools are the big one. Public safety, nothing changed there, right?
the police,
We're,
Page 5,
yeah.
nothing changed there.
Well,
were you on page 5?
On the,
No, just contractual and
right,
Okay.
building, same thing, contractual.
What page are we on now?
We're on
5.
5.
5, rolling over to, quickly
Moving
to
to
6.
We're in 6 now, okay.
Yeah.
Animal control, natural resources.
Schools, page 7.
All right, schools, all right.
Uh-oh,
Schools, yeah.
So that's the final number?
So this number here is what was agreed upon by the schools and the school committee.
And they voted on it?
Yes, it's been
Okay.
voted on. I forgot what date that was. Remember, Terry? What date that was?
He said, thank you very much. Yep, they did.
No, Terry, did you remember the date of the meeting? I don't remember.
Yes, it was,
Last meeting?
one moment, I think.
They
it
have
was-
one this Monday, so I had them in,
transportation. Oh, here it is.
And then that's the number from Volk, the assessment from Volk, and then the assessment from Bristol Aggie.
It was the 14th of April.
okay,
14th, yeah.
okay.
And this encompasses, just so the committee knows, I mean, we've talked about it before, but not filling the position of HR for the schools, but yet
Yeah.
working out the plan
Yeah.
that we've had going
Yep,
on.
well, they agreed to it, so. So it's going up, let's see,
It was
going up 2.5,
4.1%.
it's going up $2.5 million.
I think it
said
came
it
out to
was 4 something.
4.1%.
Yeah, you had it on the slides the other night.
4.1.
Yeah, 4 point, okay.
Yeah, so I was curious to see. what's
Okay.
the point. What's the transportation?
Page 8.
Okay, let's see. Public Works.
Okay. Okay.
Page 9.
Did Tim have his title changed, the superintendent of public works?
Percent.
No, no, I mean, I believe that's his official title, a Director of Public Works. I'm not sure if that's just old in the Schedule A.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Page nine.
Page 9.
Nine, okay. That's in the transportation thing for the schools. Number 9.
You want, I just want to follow along, are you, so the folks at home can see this. You on page 10? We're on page 10, right?
Well, on page 9.
9.
Yeah.
Any issues on page 9? No issues on page 9? No.
Not so far, no.
Page 10?
Yep, page 10.
Too clear on that one.
Page 11?
Yep.
And you can see there's an indication of our debt sliding off, because we're not adding any new debt on the general
Yeah,
fund.
yeah, yeah.
General fund at least.
I mean,
12.
well, I mean, page 11, I mean, the, a organization this size has $710,000 worth of interest, that's pretty good. You know, everybody's always talking about, we do have the capacity to borrow more. We have a lot of capacity, but, you know, when you borrow, you have to pay interest. So, I always thought that calculation of how much capacity you have was way too high, you know, but when we build a school, I mean, it's gonna,
Yeah,
gonna hit.
that's our borrowing capacity, but keep in mind, we're also a AAA community.
Yeah.
So we have the best rate
Yeah.
when it comes to borrowing.
yeah. Okay.
We still have a AAA bond rate, don't we?
Yes, we do,
Yep,
yeah.
yep. Okay. So pensions, huh, that didn't go up that high, huh?
No, what's very curious about the pension system, if we pay it all at once, so we're assessed the assessment for the
Yeah.
entire fiscal year. If we pay it all at once, we would pay 6.8 million. If we paid it semi-annual, if we paid like half now and half in December, January, we would pay 7.1 million. So it jumps up, you know, and then it's cash flow on their end, they wanna,
Yeah, no, I
but
understand
it's a
that.
savings to us, so that's why
Yeah,
we
no, that makes sense.
pay the whole thing at
Yeah.
once.
Yep, if you got the money.
Workers' comp has been the same.
Okay, so the health, that's
Yeah,
where,
health.
you- that's the,
Yeah, this is
that's the issue.
Yes, I mean, we, we try to do the best we can with the health insurance for the town. As I mentioned in a couple of meetings, especially with the select board, we're looking at, potentially looking at different JPAs in Massachusetts to try to lower the costs.
JPAs.
Joint purchase agreement.
Yeah.
There are groups in Massachusetts that have collaborations that, through our IAC, I had mentioned through the Insurance Advisory Committee here in town, to, we need to look at that, have our consultant look at other JPAs to compare that to Maya. So what I envision going forward, and this is a little bit further out, once we get that information, sooner than later, we're gonna get that information, but almost creating a steering committee to look at other alternatives to.
I mean, other groups
Other
to
groups.
join?
Other groups, right.
To join.
To join, right. Other groups that could lower the cost not only for the employees, but also for the town. Remember, we pay a portion of that. So
Does that have to be collectively bargained?
it would through the Insurance Advisory Committee. I briefed them about a few weeks ago, and we're gonna brief them again on the process. But the steering committee would be further out on the horizon, but we're doing the research now and gathering all the data
Okay.
to see what other groups are out there that could offer the town a better rate.
So
if
who's
they
on
could.
the steering committee?
The steering committee, it's something that I'm envisioning,
Ah.
is creating a steering committee once we gather the data, who would be on the steering committee would be.
Oh, no, I thought there was
Well, a
one.
steering committee would be made of a medical professional from the outside, a member of the Board of Selectmen, a member of the Board of Finance, a member of each one of the unions, and just start to explore that a little bit
Are there
further.
many organizations?
Are there many JPAs?
Yeah.
I would say in Massachusetts, there's probably about 7. Four are in this immediate area. We have Schmeg, we have Mayflower, there's Gateway. Schmeg is the South Coast version of that. Mayflower is more the Cape version.
Yeah.
And Gateway is a little bit like between us and,
Does geography matter if you
no,
join?
no,
I wouldn't think
nope,
so.
absolutely not. I
So
mean, the
you'd be look-
coverages, we're looking at the same plans, the coverages are the same. It's just nothing against Maya, the insurance that they provide and the policies that they provide are top-notch. It's just that we have to do our fiduciary responsibility to go out there and look at other JPAs. It has not been done in quite some time.
In the theory, though, of JP, the more you get together and with other towns, the cheaper your rates are
Right,
gonna be.
and not only.
Because you spread the cost.
Right, and not
I mean,
only that.
spread the risk.
If you're a JPA, you're part of a JPA, they're able to pick the best communities, the communities that don't have high claims and the communities that don't have, so they have the best of the best in those groups, along with stop-loss insurance and everything else that covers anything over. But that's, I think, what we need to start exploring, because the insurance at 12.5% for the employees is high. But then again, it's also high for the resident to have to pay a portion of that when we budget it. So,
It's a good idea.
Okay, so,
I have a,
you on the last page, Bob?
yeah.
Are we on the last page?
Well, I'm on,
Oh,
yeah.
we're on the last page, okay, yeah. So right now, the budget stands at $108,500,032, which is a 3.7.
7.7.
I know, I calculated it earlier for the letter. 3.77.
3.77, Gary.
Okay, we'll go with that. 3.8.
Oh, so you
We
rounded
round.
up. I was trying to make it look good.
3.8
3.77.
Okay, so 108.
That's some pretty fancy footwork, Gary.
What is it?
Pretty fancy footwork you did on this budget.
Yeah, yeah.
That was good.
what other opportunities are there, I guess we could do this at another time, for joining cooperatives to buy things that the town has?
Well, I think we've talked about before, you and I have had this conversation
Yeah.
about, we are part of groups like, for instance, when we buy from WB Mason, they're on the state bid
Yeah.
list. So we do take advantage of that, and that does save the town a substantial amount of money.
Right.
Keep in mind, we're also doing that for utilities, when we purchase
Right.
Electricity, natural, everything that we purchase.
But, so is the, sorry, go ahead.
That's a Massachusetts organization, so that state bid list is throughout the entire state, obviously. So I don't know if we would gain any more of an advantage if we did local purchasing, where we combine 3 or 4 communities. I'm not sure, we haven't explored it, we could.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's,
Well, theoretically, I mean, it should be the same as your medical insurance, with the exception of the looking for the best towns. If you combine with other towns.
Yeah, it's something we can explore. I'm not sure if there's regional purchase groups
Well, I know,
or,
I was looking today, there are a number of national purchase groups.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps, but.
So I subtracted the difference in the town administrator's salary of 24,804. So if you subtract 24,804 from 108,500,32, the number is 108,475,228. So, so we're voting on the final number right now.
Right.
So does somebody want to make a motion?
I make a motion to accept Bob's
Oh,
recalculation,
well, let's put that,
Oh.
no, just say, you're making a motion, 108?
whatever
108.
it was, less
I-
the
Right.
24,000.
I think before you do that, Mr. Chairman, I think you should probably poll the group if there are any more changes to the budget besides that one. Are there any more changes to
Okay,
the?
well, yeah,
any
anybody,
more
any more
that are
changes?
recommended, so that we're doing it all as
Yeah,
one?
yeah, because we're voting on Schedule A right now, and this is what's going to appear at town meeting. No, okay. So the motion would be to recommend Schedule A operating budget, $108,475,228. So somebody want to make a
So
motion?
moved.
So moved by Janine, seconded by Phil. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that's 600. Gary? 600.
Okay, that'll be for the vote. I'm gonna amend it. I'm gonna amend it, not right now, I won't amend it, but I'll amend it.
The number of the budget,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sorry, so that's our vote for the warrant rationale? Is that what you're saying, Bob?
Yeah, no, the warrant rationale, we would have to put in
6.
600.
And we can add that as this clause to this. All right, so right now it says 108,532.
Yeah, we're going to change that.
So we're going to say we appropriate 108,475,228, is that correct?
Okay, the
No, it's-
article does appropriate that, right?
Correct. That's what the article, well,
Yeah.
So,
You leave that alone.
that amount was actually blank because we didn't have a final number.
so the Article 10
Correct.
will read 108,500,32.
Correct.
The
That's what I-
recommendation from the Finance Committee will be different.
Correct, okay, because that's what I put in after I looked at this afternoon.
Okay.
So, now we want to add probably a paragraph or a sentence
Yeah.
to this.
Yeah.
So right now, just so you all know, it says this article appropriates 108,532 from various funding sources for the purpose of funding expenses, salary, and compensation of all elected and appointed officers of the town for payment of debt and interest charges and outlays of the various town departments for the ensuing 2026 fiscal year, details in Schedule A fiscal year 2026 operating budget. It's the paragraph, but we want to add,
Okay.
what do we want to add?
The committee, the finance committee. Recommends 108,000,000.
108, 475, 475,
220, which is
just making it right where I can.
a reduction of $24,804.
$24,804,
$804.
that's it, 1,000.
Yeah, no, just say, no, just 24,000, is a reduction of $24,000.
1,804?
Yeah.
Okay,
From,
But based on a reduction of.
from the article, from the article appropriation,
a second.
from the article appropriation.
Right, but do we want to say what line?
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, no, we'll say that next,
Okay.
we'll say, yeah.
Finance Committee recommends 108, et cetera, based on a reduction of $24,804 in the town administrator's salary,
Yeah,
Yeah, perfect.
period.
that's it.
So we're not gonna get into the detail, but it's gonna,
there's no
they're gonna
detail.
ask, they're gonna ask,
No,
They can
ask.
ask.
they're gonna ask in the town meeting,
Right.
and it's,
So it would be compared to the previous administrator, not as much experience.
do we wanna put that there?
I wouldn't.
No.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't. I'd let
No, I
that,
wouldn't.
I'd
Just
let
leave
that
it
be
on.
in the
Leave
conversation.
it the way it is.
Okay, all right,
That's mine.
okay. All right. That's it? We
All
all
right, so-
satisfied with that?
So hang on, this is no longer yellow.
Okay, so let's see what we got here now. So, next we'll be voting on the changes to the 3 articles that involved so Article 12 was the solid waste that got changed on the, because of the increase of the salary. So it'll be 12, 13, and 14. What changed here was the amount there, and then the revenues supported. So this is this is the new total for both solid waste, water, and
Have
sewer.
we voted on this already?
You
Yes.
voted on it, but it was
you
the
have to
older amount.
change.
Now I've negotiated the,
New requirements.
Okay, so we
yeah, so
gotta,
this is the new amount.
so what's the difference from what we voted on?
Let me see. So for solid waste. Let's go to that. Glasses. So, 6,440 for solid waste.
Okay,
An
So-
increase of 6,440.
Increase, I was just gonna ask.
okay, so
Okay.
does somebody want to make a motion that we increase the amount for revenue and expenses
Yeah.
on Article 12, funding solid waste enterprise fund, $6,440?
I'll make the motion.
Bill made the motion, somebody second.
second.
Brian second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. Okay, so that's done.
It's still 600. It's what it was before.
Yeah, yeah.
Water. The difference for the water was, let's see. I'm gonna add them up because it's two amounts here. I should have totaled it. $23,092.
$23,092,
$92.
okay. Okay, so somebody want to make a motion to add $23,092 to Article 13, the funding of Water Department Enterprise Fund, adding to the revenue and the expenses?
So moved.
All right, Janine moved it. Bill?
I will second.
Bill second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? None, okay.
Changing it now to 600.
600, okay.
And the last one was sewer, and the change was $28,110.
Somebody want to make a motion to add $28,110, Article 14, funding sewer department enterprise fund, adding $28,110 to the revenue and $28,110 to the expenses.
So moved?
Janine?
I'll second.
Second, Bill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none.
And once again, now it's 600.
Good.
Is that it?
Is that it, Gary?
That's it?
So, all right, so we're done with the warrant.
Yes.
Okay.
Warrant Schedule A, and the last is the letter.
Right.
Okay.
You want the letter? Do you want the letter? Do you want the,
Yes, please.
okay,
I made some additions.
yeah.
Since this afternoon?
No, no.
Okay. Just asking. I did incorporate
Oh,
those
good. I
in
didn't
a,
bring my computer.
in a version of them. Let's put it that way.
Version of it?
I just tweaked it. You gave me a sentence that was the definition of a run-on.
Oh, okay.
Thank
Because I
you.
was in a hurry.
But I didn't change the thought.
gist?
Yeah, the gist of it is the same.
Dare you insult me.
I know, that's what I do.
So it's interesting, this is, that building is the London Museum.
It's a Microsoft, I don't know if it's Microsoft, but whatever,
This is screensaver.
yeah,
Hang on a second.
Oh, it's one of their themes?
yes, probably.
Museum of London.
All right. I know, let's go for the easy stuff first, I think. Gary, do you have the updated numbers for that, for the
Okay,
section
let's go to the,
called Budget Outlook?
yeah, so that'll be 100,
Hang on one second, man. So I think my first two numbers are right. I did change them after looking at the 108.5 million,
that's correct.
Still 108.5.
representing a 3.77 increase.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so after that, though,
1.6 million state and county assessments. Yes, that's accurate.
4.6 million is
Yep.
still the same? Okay. And then the enterprise funds total,
Yes,
14.7?
yes.
Wow, nothing changed.
Which have been adjusted to, resulting in a modest.
Yeah, when you have millions up there, it takes a lot to change.
I know, it's like,
Yeah, not much swings the percentage. I'm just trying to see this last, all enterprise funds are fully supported by user fees, which have been adjusted to cover increased costs resulting in a modest 1.5% increase. Oh, so
Yeah.
let's see, I can do that quick.
okay.
Actually, that was the number that I questioned, 1.5 increase.
Let's see, well, I'm saying quick, but
1 point?
I didn't look past the budget and the increase.
Yeah, no,
I
I
left the
understand.
numbers the same.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't.
she's gonna give me, I'll take like 5 minutes to get that number.
Yeah, no problem. I'm just taking some yellow away. All right, let's leave that then. And let's go to, I'm going to speed ahead because we have a whole section that's going to be much more conversation. So Brian sent some edits to our conclusion. All right. As you can see, so, in support of points 1 and 5 above, the Finance Committee recommends that town meeting members and residents immediately call for the following. Here's where I made some changes. Create and implement a proactive economic development plan for the Route 6 corridor to stimulate new growth in the commercial and industrial tax bases. Point 2, this is the sentence I fixed, Brian.
Okay.
Develop a grant strategy allocating or hiring dedicated internal or external resources to streamline the process, increase efficiency, assist department heads, and maximize the chances to secure funding.
Like that.
Do we still want to put the word hiring in there? After
Yeah,
what Karen-
because
Karen-
it's one person's opinion.
Allocating or hiring, it says allocating or hiring.
Well, or hiring could be an outside resource.
Yeah, that's true, that is true.
That's how I meant it,
Yeah,
let's put it
yeah,
there. Allocating means
yeah.
maybe somebody's job description
Yeah, okay.
now includes it
Good.
more
Yep.
stringently. That's all. Yes? Okay, then the sentence that Brian wrapped up, the Finance Committee believes these actions will help mitigate the town's over-reliance on the residential tax base to fund services. Thoughts? Concerns?
I think it's excellent.
No, it's good.
All right, so that's our conclusion page. The rest is the same as what
Yes,
you've seen. Okay, now comes some more. The whole budget summary section. So it's a combination.
Oh, budget.
Terry wrote a lot of it. I stuck in a few things.
Okay.
What's the gist of the
I
rewrite?
got one
and
point, on
few
that other one, I
things
got
that were stuck in?
1.789, what was it, 1 point?
Hang on, you did something, Gary, okay. The increase is what?
Like 1.7 increase
Okay.
All right, so good.
over FY
So
'23.
that section,
Okay, can you do away with the yellow? Yeah, okay. Yellow.
no, Bob, I want to leave it.
Yeah.
Stranger things have happened.
That's pretty good.
It's true, that is true.
I won't leave it. Are you kidding me? I'm going to send this out so you can all pick at the punctuation, spacing, capitalization, and anything else
And
that
run-on
catches your
And
eye.
run-on sentences.
Well, Terry's really good at it. The rest
Run-
of you may or may not have an
You
opinion.
saying she's good at run-on sentences?
No, she's good at fixing my mistakes of capitalization, spacing, blah, blah, blah.
St. Mary's. I
St.
give the
Mary?
credit to St. Mary's.
Okay,
Good old St. Mary. She could write up a story.
No, she went there, she was first in Brockton.
all right.
Okay,
Elementary school.
okay, okay.
Okay, what's the gist of the changes, so we lumber through this?
Right, I'm not going to read it, obviously. As I said, Terry wrote a significant part of it, and she may have comments on what
Oh,
I
yeah.
added.
Oh, you don't want me to read it? That way there?
Can I just ask one it's taken me all this time to find what you sent out. The graphs that are in, that you had put in before, I think that if we put them in as they are with no context, it's gonna just go right over people's heads. If they're still in here, are they still in here?
What, you mean all Brian's graphs?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
The
The,
context is in the,
da-
at the bottom of the.
That's
graph.
why I looked at last year's
Oh, yeah,
letter.
no, these are all, there's like 6 of them. Yeah, no, that's the same.
Yeah.
I didn't
think-
change any of that.
I think we have to do something with that. I don't think we can just put those in as they are. Last year when we put graphs in, they had an explanation underneath them.
These all have,
They have an explanation.
They have
at
a
the bottom.
commentary.
these are the ones, as you know, these are all presented to the select board, and I thought the detail was great on them. I thought it gave actually more detail than last year's.
I must not be looking at the same thing.
I did send, so this part has not changed since the copy that I sent out.
Okay.
The only thing that changed from the copy that I sent out is Brian's part.
Okay.
That was added just now.
Right.
That's
The
the only,
last
that's the only thing
two
that's
sentences.
different. And then we, of course, corrected the numbers that Gary just finalized. But yeah, the rest of this is the same. The opening is the same, the charts are the same, nothing. The only thing that
Well,
is,
the charts are really different from last year's letter.
oh,
Extremely
yeah, no, we
different.
changed them
Oh,
all.
okay.
Yeah, no, yeah.
They're all different, I
Yeah,
think.
probably different version.
Oh, yeah, those are all
That happens to me all
updated.
the time.
I
I get the
personally think
wrong
they're a
version.
lot better with
Yeah,
what
all these
they're,
have
And
bullets.
since I did both of them, I think these are a lot better.
okay, I'm sorry, they're excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No run-on sentences.
I did correct some spacing and
Ah.
text changes. Okay,
Okay, mind if I read it?
you can, and none of this changed since I sent this out, just so you know.
So what do you, okay, go back to the next page.
Okay, but it's all in yellow, so we gotta
Correct.
make sure.
So you're gonna read this out? That's what you're-
Yeah, yeah, that way if somebody said, well, you know,
That's okay,
Doesn't
go,
sound right.
please.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
Fiscal year 2026 budget summary. We continue to face challenges with the fiscal year 2026 budget review. While department heads keep requests minimal, many still exceeded our available resources. All right, now we're saying that, but it said many still exceeded our available resources, but we do have a budget, so
Their requests, but okay, before I
Maybe
jump
you have to
ahead.
put their requests.
It gets explained
all right, okay, all right,
with what they requested versus what they got.
okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, you're saying the request, okay, yeah.
Yes, request.
Okay, all right. The Long-Term Capital Committee has been meeting over the past 2 years to identify future town infrastructure needs and will provide additional information on their work at the upcoming town meeting. This committee was formed to address long-standing funding issues surrounding the town's ability to address infrastructure needs such as our water and sewer and other public school facilities. So somebody's going to do something at town meeting on this?
Yeah,
Okay.
long-term.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And who's going to do that? Who's going to do it?
Long-term capital committee.
We haven't decided yet, somebody from the committee, right?
Sorry,
Yeah.
okay, all right. The, our town's operating expenses present a significant challenge to meet our long-term capital needs. A level of service budget alone leaves very little room for capital needs of the town. We see increases in health insurance, transportation costs, and inflationary costs that impact many budget areas. The Long-Term Capital Committee has identified 8 to 10 long-term capital projects that cannot be accommodated in our operating budgets. In addition to public works and elementary, middle, and high schools, this committee has identified other capital needs in community service, including the renovation of the Maria Connor Center for Active Living. The committee plans to hold workshops in the future where residents can voice their opinions or concerns about these projects.
So there needs to be a period after living in capital T on the,
Including renovation at the Maria Connor Center for Active Living, period,
Period.
which is, okay. Okay, maybe I fixed it after.
okay.
There is a period.
Yeah, there is period. Departments requested $30,684,232 for capital projects, but committee could only recommend $680,867 due to limited surplus funds. This represents significant underinvestment in our facilities and equipment, especially water and aging sewer
I
facilities.
have a question.
Yeah.
How does something go from 30 million to 600? Somebody's going to ask you about that.
From what?
How does it go from 30 million for people doing their jobs and as department heads asking for $30 million worth of money?
Some of these are longer term, I imagine.
Well, so.
And it winds up at 680?
It's not
So,
longer term.
These are
it's-
not longer, some of these are like the treatment facilities, the bridge, well, not the bridge.
The bridge
You
is
know,
there.
like the stadium, the roof.
10 million alone would be for DPW, but maybe we need to put a sentence after this that says, some of these projects will be borrowed for, some can be delayed. There were a couple of department heads that said they could wait until the fall, once certified cash, but it's clearly not gonna be 30 million.
Well, this is I mean, if I was looking at this,
Yep,
something
Well,
goes
they'd
from
ask.
30 million to 600,000, it doesn't make any sense.
Well,
right.
I mean, without an explanation.
but but if long-term capital is going to do a presentation.
Right, but these
they'll
are
be
two separate,
addressing.
these are two separate.
This isn't long-term.
No,
This
debt.
is-
isn't-
this is
This is
short-term.
what the department heads asked
Oh,
for,
okay,
Yeah.
to keep their departments operating
Okay.
the way they think
Okay,
should have been,
okay.
they should be operating, and
We
Long
could-
term are the
30
bigger
million,
projects.
they only got 600,000 in change.
So after the 30 million, we could put period. Some of these needs may be addressed by borrowing or may be delayed until the fall? Is that fair to say?
Well, right, some of the larger items would be addressed by additional funding sources, which could be a borrowing, could be additional surplus as it's
Right.
available.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it should be after the 30 million. I think what
I
Janine's
think
doing is
should-
right.
Large
I think-
requests will be addressed by, you said it perfectly, Gary, can you say it again?
Should be, will be, well, larger requests, I don't know if we should
Or
say.
could be
will
addressed.
Yeah,
Will
Could be?
You're right.
Okay.
by a borrowing,
by other sources of funding.
other sources of funding, which it could include
Which could-
borrowing
yeah.
and/or other surplus revenue.
And in
That's
fact,
When
much-
available, when-
That's much better.
when available.
But I think the point that was made by Tim is that what he needs every year to do the roads is 10 million. And he knows he's not gonna get that, so they do what they can. They take $1 million and they they prioritize.
But is the 10 million to get caught up, or is that?
No, to do, he did say that, right, Gary?
Yeah,
To do what needs to be done with all the roads in town.
Every single
It's a
year, too.
huge, yep, it's a huge town apparently, and,
Yes.
Yeah, and the last time I heard, just to catch up, it would be 30 million.
I wouldn't
Okay,
be
all right.
surprised.
All right, wait a minute,
Wouldn't be
Lisa, I
surprised.
missed the rest of the sentence because I was fixing some words. Could be addressed by other funding sources, which could be borrowing or,
Other surplus funds.
Other
Okay, surplus funding.
funds
When available.
when available.
okay? Good. There's an explanation.
All right, single-family homes make up 83% of Dartmouth's housing in 2000 and have increased slightly each year. The town's master plan calls for more housing diversity with new apartments among several high-density projects with,
Underway.
hang on a second. Calls for more housing diversity with new apartments among several high-density.
Higher density projects
higher-
underway.
Underway. A wastewater treatment upgrade has been designed and partially funded, but inflation has dramatically increased construction costs. The necessary upgrade would improve treatment capacity and efficiency, enabling more sewer connections for new developments.
I included that because it's very recent news, and it shows something that's really looming, because it's a controversy on how they will connect the complex on Dartmouth Street
Yeah,
to
the sewer.
sewer, water. May have to go to New Bedford, I gather. So anyway, that's the only reason I put that paragraph.
Yep.
So just a curiosity, I'm sure nobody has the answer. How do you wind up doing a project like that and not know the sewer system and the town won't cover you?
How do you do what, Brian?
I said, how do you do a project like that
Yeah.
and not know that the sewer system in the town you're doing it can't accommodate the number of houses, number of people that are in those?
Well, I think it depends on the type of project, and what we learned through the project on State Road, which is the Waterstone project, is that it's not the responsibility of the developer in that type of housing. It is the responsibility of the town, hence the need to plan in advance.
I'm talking about Dartmouth Street.
I don't, is that also,
Ro- Dartmouth
Yes.
Street?
Yeah,
Where
it's
on
Dartmouth Street.
Yeah,
The
there's a
apartment
400
Oh,
complex
right,
they're
yeah,
building
yeah,
on
okay,
Dartmouth
yeah.
Street.
Right near, in front.
That's
where
really
the
what this
Papagino's
is
was.
really
So how
referencing.
does that,
in other towns, the town makes a deal with the developers to either build a separate treatment plant for that development. I don't know how it's done here.
Or to
but-
address issues with the plant,
so
so
they never planned, and we never expected them to hook up?
Yeah,
to
I
the
mean,
sewers?
it's hard to plan a facility coming in if you, if you think 10 years down the road, we can double the capacity, so what does that look like 10 years from now? I mean, some planning could be done.
You're telling me that
but-
was planned 10 years ago on Dartmouth
Well,
Street? I don't
well,
know.
no.
No, he's saying you can't predict.
You can't predict how many, especially now with 40B housing. You've heard us talk a lot about 40B housing. There's a push for 40B housing in the state, so.
Seems a very strange way to operate things.
I agree with Brian. When I read that, I said, how did they approve that thing if they gonna have an issue with the water thing?
I have the impression that there's still a possibility of them redesigning something to accommodate.
Right, yeah, there'll have to be
Okay.
some work on the developer's part.
Okay.
I'm just saying the worst-case scenario was it would have to end up being connected via New Bedford,
Okay,
which part of Bliss Corner is.
okay.
Anyway,
Something about that first sentence doesn't sound right to me. Single-family homes made up 83% of Dartmouth's housing in 2000 and have increased slightly each year. But didn't that call for how much it is now?
I'm sorry?
I said, doesn't that first sentence, if you started off with 83% of Dartmouth's housing in 2000 and have increased slightly each year, wouldn't you want to know what it is in 2025?
You would.
Yeah, I don't know if we have it. I think the point that I was trying to make there is that there's still quite an opposition to denser housing. And that is a problem because it's in our master plan.
Denser housing means what? Like Dartmouth Street?
Multifamily,
Correct.
multifamily
Multifamily.
housing. There's still, when you go to a planning board meeting, I think that's what you hear, that there is a wish to not change the neighborhood. And the thought is that, more dense housing does that, and it's a problem because you cannot increase housing to that degree with the plans that we have right now. So we can put that in there or not. I think if you think it looks awkward, we can
Well,
take
to
it
me, I'd
out.
read that and I'd want to know what it is, because it's 25
I
years
don't know what it
later.
is. I know that's a fact, but I
Yeah,
have no
don't-
idea what it is now.
I can
You want it
try
gone?
to-
No,
know.
I don't want it gone. I mean, I think it makes a good point, but I would like to know what it is, because, I mean, if it's 25 years later.
Let's ask Claude.
Ooh, everyone's,
That might-
Terry
everyone's
has a
dealing
new
with
That might
friend.
be interesting.
my new friend.
Well, Brian, Claude is Brian's twin brother.
Aw, see, now you got a face
Now it
going
gets-
with it. I
Yeah,
visualize a little
It's
different.
getting a little too personal. Well, that's okay. So you're saying I have artificial intelligence. That's good.
Yeah, see, gives
I
him-
guess,
Well,
yeah.
Leave it.
Well-
I mean, leave it. It just seems to me weird. that it's-
Well, your brother got better grades in school, Brian.
Leave it.
Okay,
And by
Don't
Terry,
bother, Terry, leave it.
yeah, okay.
see what she
I'm
comes
just-
up,
I'm
and we
just
can move on
quibbling.
to the rest of it.
Okay, so the Dartmouth Public School District is currently utilizing school choice funds to supplement the school budget. This topic has been discussed every month at the school committee agenda as a budget subcommittee meetings and a finance committee meetings. On a suggestion of a finance committee member, and with input from residents, the towns and the school district's finance departments have worked together to propose a 5-year process of reducing this reliance. This plan is included in the fiscal year 2026 budget proposal. Okay, everybody good with that?
Yep.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, even with this plan, the Dartmouth Public Schools remains in a tenacious position. Tenuous position, okay. Despite educating the 77th largest top quadrant of 396 districts, DPS is outspent by 351 of these school districts' lowest quadrant. Our schools demonstrate remarkable efficiency, showcasing the district's exceptional ability to maximize educational value by managing resources. Dartmouth schools are not alone in facing rising costs. This year, 16 school districts in Massachusetts, about 4% of Massachusetts, 396 school districts are planning to override votes because of budget gaps related to health insurance, plus 8%, the end of federal COVID funds, transportation costs, plus 6%, and special education costs, 5%.
What's the purpose of putting in what other districts are planning to do?
That's a comparison.
Well, because
No, it's
we all
just
have the same
comparing
problems.
what's happening.
Yeah.
It's a
Everybody's got budget
comparison.
problems.
Yeah, my only question is, it seems like the 6% is low. I'm not sure.
Say that again?
To me, 6% seems low on transportation and
Yeah,
special
that
education
was
costs.
just from an article that I took out of the Globe, so,
All right, so you have a source for that.
yeah, it should be there.
Oh, I didn't put a source in there.
But there was do you think it shouldn't go in, or?
Well, you know it's a fact, right, if somebody asks you. Do we
Yeah.
need to start quoting sources everywhere? Because
No,
we'd
not
have a whole other
necessarily, but I
page.
know
Okay,
you-
no,
I wanted to
okay,
know
all
where
right.
it comes
All right,
from.
so.
Yeah, no, it's a
It's
Boston Globe
a
article.
February 2025 article in the Globe that went
Yeah.
through and looked at this
Okay.
information.
Okay. The town of Dartmouth will need to examine its current budget and determine what may be appropriate solutions for this problem. With Proposition 2.5 limits, how do we reconcile these increased costs? Decisions on this issue will affect not only schools, town services, and capital essentials, but also impact property owners and housing affordability, disproportionately impacting lower and middle-income homeowners.
Decisions on this issue will affect not only the schools and services and capital essentials, but also impact property owners and housing affordability, disproportionately impact. Well, should we be put impacting lower, middle, and older folks on limited incomes?
We have an update from 2012. Do you want to put that in? It's pretty much the same. It's 82% of units are in single-family homes. This
Then
is
it's
from,
decreased.
That's close enough.
this is from the Mass.
Oh, okay, 82, all right.
Oh, you're talking about single-family homes?
You could say, if you
Well,
want.
in other words,
I
it's,
don't care.
it's,
Instead of 2002, put 2012 and say 82.
All right, sounds okay.
That's a little more
That's just
recent.
nitpicking, I just,
no, that's fine. So 2012, and you said 82?
Yep.
All right, good enough, close enough. I mean, it's probably similar now,
I would guess it
Yeah.
probably is fairly similar.
All right,
Last
all right.
sentence.
Back to last paragraph.
Impact property, I would say, but also impact residential property owners in the main, and housing affordability disproportionately impacting lower, comma, middle income, and older residents on fixed incomes.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't the lower
I
kind of
was gonna
fix?
say, it kind of covers that without putting that level of detail, I think. I mean, obviously, they would be lower or middle-income homeowners.
But the reason I like.
And we do
it ties
mention that
back-
later.
Well, it ties back to the charts in the front that talk about the two the two older age groups. But if nobody else feels that way, that's fine.
I think it covers it.
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Why not?
We do
Yeah.
mention it later, Brian,
Yeah.
Okay.
so it's not
All right.
mentioned, and it is in that chart.
Okay,
Okay.
so, all right, can we do away with the yellow?
No, I'm gonna keep the yellow.
Eliminate
Hey, the yellow, no, not the yellow.
toothpaste. Oh, much better. Wasn't this thing 8 pages at one time?
I know, it's a nice 7 pages.
Lucky
You know what it was, though, and I know I shouldn't be focused on how long it was, but it
By
was,
run-on sentences?
it was 7 pages, and then there was like one little tiny paragraph that went onto the 8th page, which is just terrible waste of paper. So now it's 7 and it's full.
Okay.
Plus, look at those charts.
Chats.
So we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can make one comment, and
Yes.
maybe we shouldn't even throw this in, but I was just thinking, you know, the other night we were in front of the select board, and we were talking about how, you know, urban communities, you know, get more school
Yeah,
funding.
yeah.
Should we make a comment and say,
I like that.
pardon me?
I like that, go ahead.
Make a comment before the paragraph that starts with the town of Dartmouth, something to the effect that Dartmouth, Dartmouth community, as well as other suburban communities, don't seem to be getting the adequate funding as opposed to urban communities, or something to that effect. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, something that,
You talking about state aid?
yeah,
Oh, my
exactly.
God, Bill, that could be a whole other,
Well, it can be, no, but it could
Page.
be.
We have a chart on that, but.
But what my point is, at least it shows the severity of how, you know, we need more money and we're not getting it from the state.
Well,
That's
you
the
could,
point.
you could add something to the effect that Dartmouth residents and should somehow lobby their state representatives to
Well, I wouldn't put
So
that in the.
Well,
change
what I said in
the
the
funding
meeting.
for. Yeah, but I
We
mean.
did, but
you said it in the meeting, but it's not in
No.
this.
I wouldn't pinpoint particular political leaders. I would just say, in comparison, it's been kind of a consensus that, you know, the suburbs don't get their right share of what they should be as opposed to the urban centers. Something along those lines.
so, just side note. First of all, I'll send everybody a link I found, I think it was on the MMA site, on how that number is calculated. Have you ever seen that video, Terry?
Yeah, it's impossible to understand. It really
Okay,
is.
but anyway, there's a video on it.
Yep.
But the number is derived, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but they look at special needs students, they look at English as a second language student, so kind of leans towards the urban because that's where
it-
they face those issues more.
But we've been saying for
Not saying it's
years-
right.
I know that, Janine, and to your point, there's probably a lot of credibility with that statement you just made. But I'm just saying, we've always been saying it, that, and not only Dartmouth, but other communities, we seem to be slighted when it comes to getting a fair share of the economic pie from the state as far as getting aid.
So I would say that the formula changed when Brockton and Worcester sued the state because their children, they said, were getting a subpar education because of where they lived, and that something had to be done with the funding formula. Many people would say all things are not equal. Many people would say in Dartmouth, kids are privileged. They have a lot more available to them than somebody in New Bedford or Fall River. And I think that the state moves towards the gateway cities to provide those services. And I think that's just the way it is. But it was set up in the beginning to solve that problem of people who lived in urban areas, getting a subpar, and they may not have the option to move to a Dartmouth or a, Lakeville or one of the others. I get why people feel that way because everybody,
Yeah.
contributes taxes.
Right.
But we have to admit, we don't all have an equal living situation to everybody else in the
Well,
state.
you can make that generalization of all the suburbs in the state. They all seem to be, yes, if you want to talk about other suburbs, absolutely, especially around Boston. But what I'm getting at, the formula, and we've said this, it seems to be unfair. Now, there are certain mitigating, circumstances, not mitigating, but circumstances. And Janine just brought them up, about special education, things of that maybe the suburbs don't have to embrace. But what I'm getting at, and we've said it all for many, many years, that we don't seem to be getting the money that we should be getting from state aid, which actually perpetuates and is the problem of why we can't fund the schools as much as we'd like to.
Many people would say we can't fund the schools the way we'd like to because we don't want to pay more taxes.
Well, if you want to bring that up at town meeting, that's fine. I'm just making a point.
Yeah,
The
no,
point
I
is,
understand what you're
that's-
saying.
That's the only thing I'm saying. There's a
Yep.
variety of reasons why. Yes, we have found that out because we apparently don't tax enough, that we don't, that's why we don't
Could be a lot of
get,
But-
reasons,
you
yeah.
know, don't get the aid.
But at the school, when the school committee was here, Bill, Jim Kiley brought up the fact that a lot of, they're starting to get, I think they're up to almost 100 suburban towns that are getting together and presenting this issue.
Okay.
So they are working toward that.
Then let's put that into the letter. That's a wonderful point to bring out. A lot of people, I bet you Tom E. wouldn't know that. Just a suggestion,
I don't know
Bill.
if I want to speak on behalf of the
The
school budget and
yeah.
school committee.
Yeah.
No, but,
Because-
well, if that's common knowledge, I mean, if that was stated, then that's common knowledge.
Yeah, but I don't know that much about it that I would, I think I
Would it be inaccurate to say there is some type of initiative started by communities to band together, if you will, to address the problem of not being adequately funded?
That was just an
I
off
just
the
think
cuff
it's enough
remark.
to put it in as a problem, to say to people it's a problem that needs to be solved in the future, and the solutions can be developed later,
Okay.
when we
that's
get
good.
those,
All right, that's
those
fine.
groups
so
together.
what do you wanna
It's just something to highlight.
All right, so what do you want to
I understand,
add?
Bill.
You can wear it any way you want, but I just want to get that point across.
I understand what you're saying.
All right, well, where do you want to put it, Bill?
Oh, I would put that in between the paragraph that starts off with the town of Dartmouth and where the paragraph which ends with special education costs of 5%, in between there.
Where the, all right, so.
Even with this plan, the Dartmouth Public Schools, that paragraph?
Yeah, it's the one that starts off with even with this plan and ends with,
Yep.
and especially, yeah, right after that.
After the
and-
5%?
Correct.
All right, what do you want to put?
Oh, we just want to put that, there's been, as Terry put it, the evidence that we're
We
working
need a tape
together.
recorder in here.
Huh?
We need a tape recorder
Yeah,
in
We
here so we
do.
can.
Well, it's well put. There was something to the effect that, these problems about funding, whether it be, at the suburban level or at the, in comparison to the urban level of funding, has to be addressed. at some point in time.
I think the point that I was making, Bill, is that that could be a solution, but there's probably other solutions. So I would just leave it like this, because it kind of lets people know this is the problem. Heads up, we're going to be coming back to this at some point. There's going to be a workshop sometime in the fall.
Okay.
And so that might be a good place. We don't have to put that in there. I'm just saying that might be a time that people can propose some of those solutions.
I think it's too complicated a subject for us to try to summarize it in a sentence. Seriously. I think we're just really
Well,
discrediting the whole problem.
Again, I was only suggesting.
No,
that-
it's
yeah,
a
yeah.
good suggestion.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a
what we
it's a
did.
whole other
I mean,
issue. That's a
the
whole
verbiage
other page.
I'm a little lax on right now, but just how to put it, but I was trying to get at, we need to get more funding somehow
We do.
into the school system. And I felt that it was because we're not, a lot of people agree with me that we're not getting enough state aid for a variety of reasons,
Yeah.
but we're not, and that's the point I want to make.
Yeah, I think we've been very good to the schools right here.
We have,
Yeah, yeah.
but there's only so much we can do.
Yeah. Okay, so, are we done?
So I am going to send a copy of this out to everybody. I do want to hear
Thank
from
you.
you if you think I didn't capitalize or spelled something wrong or a comma is missing.
I appreciate
No
it.
content changes, we're done. But if I made some kind of horrible mistake that I overlooked, please.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So, I don't think we have to vote on this, but, I'll just poll everybody, are we happy with this? Everybody ready to go with this? Okay. So Janine's gonna send out to the group, and if there's any minor changes you wanna make, we'll rely on her to make them or decide whether they should be made. Again, do not send to the whole group, just send to Janine, she's the only one. And once, what's the time period we're looking at? And, because we wanna get
Yes,
this.
so if we have this buttoned up by, let's say, next week, Monday, Tuesday, we could probably stop printing Thursday, we could print Thursday, Friday, and then, we can print and stuff at the same time. No, that doesn't take
Are
long.
the graphs
Print.
going to be colored?
Color, yes.
Okay, and,
So usually, I think the packet is required to be in town meeting members' hands 10 days before the,
okay, are we
Yeah.
sending this out separate?
well, last year they got mail separate.
With the letter?
That's what you're suggesting, is that
Yeah,
this
if
gets
that, well, that's up to the committee.
bundled up next week and sent?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Gary, the letter that we wrote last year, and then the summary sheet from Jim is not on the website with the town meeting packet. Is there a way to make sure that it goes there so that if somebody wants it in the future?
The one sheet from the schools?
Well, I have that, I sent that out
Yeah.
to everybody, right? But then this letter, it's not to be found I couldn't find it on the website. And the town meeting packet, it's not in there,
You're talking about last year's?
last year.
last year's.
Usually it's under the clerk's. It wasn't under the clerk's,
Say it again?
was it under the clerk's?
No, that's where I looked, yeah, that's where I looked, and it wasn't
Okay,
in
I'll
the
have to talk to
packet.
the clerk.
She has the whole packet together as one thing, and it's not part of
It's
it.
probably because we sent it out separate.
Okay, but we should
Probably
have it
right.
someplace for people to,
Yeah.
either on the finance.
I mean, it could be,
committee-
it could be included, probably better to be included on the finance committee's
Okay.
webpage. So we can put it
Yep.
on the finance committee's webpage.
Go ahead.
Gary, I know you need the rationales. Do you need them tonight, or can you get them in the morning?
Yeah, if you send it to me in the morning, that's fine.
Okay, I just
Yeah,
want to give it.
I'll forward it to the board in the
Once again, I
morning.
want to give it another once
Yeah,
over.
and I'm gonna
make
send
sure
you
I
the
didn't-
final draft warrant, so you have it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just, I'm
But
sure it's
mean,
the same.
This is pretty much done. I just want to
Yeah.
make sure everything's spaced out and flows right and prints okay.
Yeah, so tomorrow morning is fine. I'll forward
Okay,
it to the
good.
board. Find the,
All right,
All right, good thing.
so there's no need for a meeting next week, right?
No, the next time we'll meet now is town meeting.
Town meeting, okay.
But you'll have to decide who's gonna, one member of the board, one member of the committee for Monday night's board meeting.
So,
I think it's
will you be able to make it? I go anyway, so I'll be there.
Okay.
And
I'll
then if-
go.
I'll go.
You can't have you can't have more than,
One person?
well,
No, you
no,
can't have more
no.
than-
You can't have a quorum.
You can't have,
All right.
have
We have to
five.
decide we can't have 5 people.
All right, I'm not going to go then because I'm going to be packing to go on my trip.
That's fine.
All right, I'll go with Terry. I'll
Okay.
co- I'll accompany you.
I'm tentatively going. I just gotta make, well, I gotta make,
They may not even call us, you know, they may not even, there's not a lot that's controversial this year, but.
No, I think they just want, if there were questions.
yep.
All right.
Well, they make question Schedule A, so.
Yeah, they will. They will.
After that,
I
yeah.
expect you to write that up for me, Bob, and send it to me so I have the right talking points.
I think they might, that might be a little offended.
Oh, well.
First time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it won't be the first
No,
time.
that's for sure.
Well, there's an easy way to get around that. They should have shared the information.
Oh, can I get, so you're gonna send us the contract,
Oh, yeah.
Gary?
Yes, I'll send that.
Okay,
Oh,
so any comments, again, don't reply to all. Can I get the previous contract that was offered to that woman?
The previous, I'd have to check, I'm not sure what the rules are as far as,
Okay, well, it's a question.
Why would
because
they-
it
why would
that
they-
wasn't a
It's a
signed
public
contract, it's not a
document.
signed contract. It
That
was-
wasn't signed.
It's not a
wasn't
contract.
Oh, so that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not a contract.
Yeah, they-
Well, I'd just be interested to see what the differences
compare
were.
one,
Yeah.
The only question, is it considered, is it part of the executive session notes? And have those notes been approved and released?
I'm not sure even the date that it was,
Because
That-
it's
the prior-
probably in there. It's a matter of whether or not they voted on those
yeah, I'm not sure when that
executive
date
minutes.
was. We
I-
can look.
If you find it, you're going to send it to Bob, I'd like to see it too. Is that possible?
Gary, when you.
Well, if
it's
it
not
was,
secret.
yeah, if it wasn't a contract that was signed, I'm not sure it'd be available. I can check with town council, though, to see what's,
Okay,
When you get ready to fold and pack, just shoot me an email.
yeah, I'm gonna print, so
It's
it might
probably,
even
as I
be,
said, in the executive session
because next week's gonna be
minutes, but they
pretty
have
tight,
to
it
have
might
been
be
approved before they're
Friday that I'm
released to
printing.
us peons.
So while I'm printing, if people come in to fold, and,
Okay.
but I'll let everybody know.
yeah, let me know, because I can
Great.
come in and fold too.
Great.
I would come, except I'm not going to be here. I support you.
It's spirit.
Okay, so now, next thing is the minutes.
Or-
The minutes from April 24th,
Make a motion to approve the minutes from April 24th,
okay, 2025, okay.
2025.
Yep.
I'll second.
Second by Bill. All in favor, say aye.
Fine.
Aye.
Okay, abstention, okay, so it's 501. Okay, we're not gonna do line item transfers, obviously. Any liaison reports, or,
I got nothing.
Not yet.
okay,
No,
all right.
nothing so far.
No, I still got 'em.
All right. Well, I just want to thank everybody for the whole year. I mean, it's been a good year. And, you know, we made a lot of different progress in different areas. And, you know, we'll go on to town meeting. You know, thanks for everybody's help on the select board. I thought that went pretty well, as far as we really got a chance to talk.
We did.
I have one question, Mr. Chairman, before you dismiss us.
Yep.
Are we going to meet during the summer?
We talked about it.
Yeah.
We should, at least
I
once a
think we
month.
should.
We said that every year, we never do.
Well, we're all on email, so if we want to do it, we can do it.
Okay.
We have done it in the past. Yeah.
I think we should.
Yeah,
Well, we
because
have this list,
We want to follow up on the list.
and I hate to see it just drop
No,
off
I-
the map
yeah,
for
I hate
6
to see
months.
it go too.
Yeah, I like it too.
So there should be
Sure.
some progress made.
Absolutely.
And
That's my
I,
2 cents.
and I think we should have, in one of our meetings, discuss a methodology to make sure that those things on that list don't disappear.
Well, the list still exists, so.
I know, but I mean, to make sure it doesn't disappear and we find out what's going on in the town with regard to what's on that list.
Right.
All right, and I'd like to thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, for everything.
Great
Nice-
job this
Great
year.
job, this, you know.
Nice
we-
job.
You did 2 jobs, and,
Very nice.
Still got 2 jobs till July, right?
July 20-something.
Yeah, the 28th.
July 28th is the new,
Then you're going to retire, right? Take a little time, no?
It's gonna be thankful to have 1 job.
Time for town,
so at town meeting, you're
fall
gonna
town
be,
meeting.
Ooh, you're the town meeting
Town
guy.
meeting.
so you're gonna be the town meeting guy, right? I mean, it's just you.
Well, both Chris and I will be there. We, like, last meeting,
yeah, okay,
we always sit on the stage,
Yeah,
myself and the town administrator, so.
okay. Someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion.
Bill made the motion, second by Phil. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? I hear none. Okay, thank you.